You know what is hypocrisy? When someone themselves do something wrong but criticize others for doing that particular thing. Now that is exactly what is happening, wherein China, yes, China is criticizing India and Japan. Yes, so what they are saying, China says that the India and Japan relations that are there, they should not target a third party. Now China is a very prominent player which of course targets the third party left, right, center. It might probably be second only to USA who actually does that. Now this is the country which is now having the audacity to basically criticize India, of course India and China both, but specifically India in targeting a third party. So let us understand what this concern is all about. Did it actually happen or not? What really happened, and what is the way forward for dealing with such a situation with respect to one of our neighbors? So let's understand the news first. So what has been China's statement? That India and Japan bilateral cooperations that are there, it should not target any third country or undermine another nation's interest. That it should not do. Now why is China making such a remark? Basically because, see, the Chinese Prime Minister visited India, subsequent to which India and the Japanese Prime Minister visited India, and subsequent to which India and Japan had announced landmark initiatives. These initiatives included critical minerals, the rare earth minerals, which is majorly controlled by China, defense co-development, economic partnership, energy security, and resilient supply chain. All these things were discussed. In addition to that, of course, there was a joint statement that came out with respect to South China Sea, etc., wherein India and Japan expressed their concerns over the developments in East China Sea and the South China Sea. Now the East China Sea, South China Sea, the 9-dash line, these are the regions wherein China claims to have sovereignty and own it, whereas international court has said that is not the case. But still, China defies the international orders and the international laws and still claims that it is part of its sovereign territory. So it is China who acts what it is criticizing others to do. Now what is the what are the contradictions in China's position? So China's stand is what? That bilateral partnerships should not target third countries and countries should avoid exclusive groupings. However, as I mentioned, China's own actions have prompted regional balancing. It is Chinese actions that is prompting regional balancing. People are now realizing, India had realized it long back, people are realizing, the countries are realizing now the intentions of China and moving away from it and into different groupings. The border tensions with India, it is China who is the aggressor, who tries to infiltrate, who tries to claim the land which is not its. So all these things are done by China. Also, assertive posture in South China Sea and the East China Sea, as I said, against the international court's decision. Also, military pressure around Taiwan. Now, Taiwan, which is independent, China claims sovereignty over Taiwan as well. So what is China doing? Interfering in another sovereign country's business is what it is doing. Now, the question is, did India and Japan actually corner China? Did they actually target China? Right. Now, what India and China did is nothing such as targeting. They simply focused on economic resilience. This is not targeting. Supply chain security, defense cooperation, and critical mineral security. Right. You are not bound by any country. Now, India being a sovereign is not bound by China or any other country in the world or even the rest of the world. Right. So, we simply decided on these things. There was no official statement that identifies China as the target. No one pointed out or even named China over there. Then strategic partnership often serve both as cooperative and deterrence objective. Cooperating, India, China cooperating together and deterring any third individual or a country to interfere in between. So there is no such target. Right. Now let's look at the critical mineral cooperation in order to understand as to why China thinks that we are targeting, because we had an understanding with Japan with respect to critical minerals, and now China is a strong player in it. So China controls 70% of the global rare earth mining and 90% of rare earth processing. Okay, very important. China previously imposed export restrictions on rare earths. So stop exporting it to United States of America. Countries as a result of which are now diversifying supply chain to reduce dependence on China. And that is exactly what India is also trying to do. Have a relationship with Japan so that we can basically source our rare earth minerals from Japan, as a result of which our dependency on China reduces. Now, how can you call this as targeting? It is absolutely not. Then, India-Japan cooperation is widely viewed as economic resilience rather than economic confrontation. We are not trying to confront China with our integration with Japan in the economic field. We are simply trying to build our own economic resilience, these two countries together. That is what it is. Right. Now let's come to maritime security. Now India and Japan, yes, this is one thing. When India and Japan express concerns over East China Sea, the South China Sea, the freedom of navigation, attempts to alter the status quo by force. Now here, we did not name a country. So why is China worried? Because does China think that when we say that freedom of navigation should be maintained, is it thinking that we are pointing out to China because China actually does not give the freedom of navigation to other countries? If that is the case, we cannot help it, because we simply talked about the issues in the South China Sea and the East China Sea, the issue of freedom of navigation and the attempt to alter the status quo by force. These things should not be done, right? It is wrong irrespective of whoever does it. Now, China basically asserts historical claims over these waters that have been mentioned, East China Sea and South China Sea. Several countries have contested these claims under international laws, as I have already said. International laws have said that this does not belong to China, but still, China forcefully claims it and monitors it and is present over there. So the issue reflects competing interpretations of maritime rights. China is interpreting things very differently, which is incorrect, which is biased. So a law-abiding country like India cannot do much in that. We are not targeting China at all, of course, in this case. Now, the Taiwan and strategic grouping. So this is where Taiwan is. China says this is an integral part of it, whereas Taiwan claims otherwise. So China considers Taiwan as an inseparable part of its territory. Many countries support the One China policy while opposing unilateral use of force. So countries are supporting this to be One China and however, China should not use unilateral force against Taiwan. So this contradictory claims are also being supported. Fair enough. Exclusive groupings. Now China criticizes exclusive small groupings. If any grouping is having 2, 3 or small groupings are there, it is basically criticizing simply because it is not there. The issue is if China is present in all the groupings, it will dominate, it will lead to forceful things. And it's not that India is trying to force people or countries into the groupings with India. It's just that these countries want to engage with India because India does not have aggressive tone like China does. India does not say that if you don't pay the loan, then I will take up your ports. Hambantota port is as good as colonizing that country to some extent. We don't do that. China does that, as a result of which the countries do not want that anymore. So moving away from Chinese influence and reducing their dependency on China. Now, India does not officially describe the cooperation with Japan as anti-China. We are simply cooperating with Japan. Now, how is that anti-China? Today, if you are getting, for example, if you are getting a product from a company, from a shop, tomorrow you find a better quality at a cheaper price, close to your house, for example, not close, let it be, because Japan is not closer as such, but fair enough, it's better quality, it's cheaper, and you go for that. Is it because you are anti the previous shop? No, it is because here you are getting benefits. Not just that. If you depend only in one shop, tomorrow if that shop is closed, if that shop does not want to sell, then what? So you have to anyhow diversify. That is all we are doing. So it cannot be claimed to be cornering China at all. Thank you.